is confused. Seika reveals he has no mana, and the woman tells him he can still register. The other students start to gossip, saying he will get in because of his family. Aoife gets mad hearing this, accidentally leaking her flames. The gossip stops as a girl confidently walks past. Seika notices something about her, and she introduces herself as Amu. As she places her hand on the device, it radiates with a blinding white light, meaning she has a strong affinity with all 4 elements. Everyone is amazed seeing this, and Seika calls to her. He thanks her for stopping the gossip, but she says she wasn't trying to help him, saying that she is actually annoyed by him, thinking he can get in without any magic, and says he would just get in her way. But Seika recognizes her as his prized disciple from the other world. Although her appearance is a little different, he can tell that it's her. They take the entrance exam, and Aoife worries about how she did, but Seika tells her she can make it up during the practical exam. During the practical, the examiner explains that there are targets set up for each of the different elements, and their score is the total of all the targets that they hit. The students proceed to chant their spells and fire at the targets, but Seika is not impressed by their attempts. It comes to Aoife's turn, and she uses her flame note spell, creating an enormous flame, and even causing the flame-resistant target to burn. Everyone is shocked she used intermediate magic without an incantation. Aoife continues on to the next target, using her Wind Lance spell, which completely destroys the target. She apologizes for the damage, and she is still nervous about passing, but Seika is amazed that she used wind magic, and she tells him she has been practicing on her own so she could surprise him. Seeing her growth, Seika starts to tear up. Seika gets called up for his turn, and the others gossip about him having no mana. But Seika shoots his fireball, and they are shocked by his blue flame. Seika moves on to the earth target. Using his knowledge and spiritual arts, he destroys the granite target by turning it into a crystal. The examiner panics, wondering what spell he just used, but Seika quickly moves on to the water target. Using one of his talismans, he uses his frozen arts, producing water, which he turns into a glacier. Everyone is left shocked, and Seika wonders if he overdid it. After the exam, the examiners are left in disbelief, especially since Aoife was measured to have weak magic and Seika was meant to have no mana at all. They talk about all the exceptional students, and we see that Amu performed even better, completely destroying all 6 of the targets. They think that she could even be the hero that the legends say will appear when the Demon King is revived. A few days later, the results of the exam are posted, and Aoife worries about failing. Seika finds himself in 3rd place, and he wonders who could have beaten him. It turns out Aoife is in 2nd place, and Seika can't believe that she beat him. They see that Alma came first, and Aoife is impressed by her. A few days later, they get their acceptance letters, and they head to the academy for the welcome ceremony. Aoife worries they won't be together because they are going to be in separate dorms, but Seika tells her not to worry. He suddenly gets a strange feeling, and he asks Aoife if she can see any spirits. Aoife reveals that there are a number of dark spirits, and Seika goes to investigate. They find a huge magic circle and feel something is off, but since it could be the academy's, they decide to leave it alone, but Seika leaves behind some of his talismans. Inside the academy hall, there is a feast for the students, and Seika can't help but grab some food. Amu starts to give a commencement speech as the student representative. But as she speaks, Seika has a feeling as the magic circle is activated. He feels something approaching, and the doors are suddenly blown open, and there are some lesser demons that appear. The students panic and run. Seika sees that the demons seem to be looking for something. There are some that stay behind and fight, but Seika sees how weak they are. One of the demons approach, and Seika prepares to step in, but the demon gets cut, and Amu steps in. She uses her wind lance on the demon, and engages it in battle, but Seika notices something is off. He looks around the grounds using his talismans, and finds the caster by the circle. He warns Aoife to stay safe, and disappears, leaving only a talisman. Seika approaches the demon in the forest, trying to talk with it, but the demon calls him a fool for challenging him. He summons some more lesser demons, sending them to attack, but Seika instantly crushes 2 of them, and even traps and captures the 3rd one. The demon is impressed, introducing himself as Gallius, the metal demon. Seika attacks using his talisman, but the demon destroys it. Seika is surprised it could see his invisible talismans, and tries it again with more talismans, but they also get blocked. The demon shoots out a blade, which Seika easily dodges, but it suddenly reappears, and he realizes the demon can teleport the blades. The demon can also shoot fire, and as Seika jumps to dodge, the demon appears behind him, cutting him, and he ends up losing one of his arms. Remembering that the demons were searching for something, Seika asks what he is after, and the demon reveals that he is looking for the hero. Seika says that the hero is just a legend, but the demon insists that it's real, saying that the years of peace have caused people to forget and just think of it as a legend. He reveals he received an oracle 12 years ago, and believes Amu to be the hero. The demon continues to attack with his blades, and Seika gets impaled, and the demon finishes him off. As the demon turns to head for the hall, Seika is revealed to be completely fine. The demon is confused how he is alive, and Seika gets stabbed in the head, but says he can just revive. The demon is determined to kill him, and then stop the hero before she becomes the strongest, but Seika laughs at what it means to be the strongest. The demon attacks, but Seika dodges and floods the area, creating a whirlpool, but the demon gets away using his teleportation. He reappears, and Seika opens a gate, summoning a thunder beast that strikes him with lightning. Having drenched the demon beforehand, Seika thinks the fight is over, but as the smoke clears, the demon is missing, and he suddenly gets stabbed from behind. But Seika says he is the one that caught him, and there is a huge explosion. Despite this, the demon survives, and starts to get back up, powering up, and says that Seika must be out of his talismans soon. But Seika reveals he has plenty to spare, saying he has been diligently making them for years. Deciding to bring things to an end, Seika opens the gate to one of his strongest servants, bringing out his dragon serpent. The demon is shocked to see such a beast, saying that even the demon king wouldn't have a dragon, as it rushes at him, and crushing him with a single bite. As Seika tries to call back the dragon goes wild, and it tries to get away. Seika gets his talismans after it, and manages to herd it back into its gate. Seika is surprised it rebelled against him, thinking it must be because of his weaker state in this body. Yuki suddenly appears, wondering if it was okay for him to use so many body double talismans, but he says it was necessary to work out the demon's attack patterns. Seika returns to the hall, and Aoife is worried about him. Aoife tells him that Amu ended up taking out all 3 of the lesser demons by herself, and the other students look at her shocked, but also concerned. Seeing their looks, Seika can tell that she will end up just like him in the past. He is determined to help her become the strongest, so he can sit back and enjoy his life instead. 1 month after the demon attack, the academy has calmed back down. Seika tries being friendly with Amu, but she acts cold toward him, and completely ignores him. As Seika and Aoife are walking to class, there is a pot above them that suddenly spills, but Seika manages to teleport out of the way. Professor Cordell apologizes for spilling the pot, explaining that it is a special mixture of monster blood and minerals that he is using for his research. He was trying to move it with his magic, but ended up spilling it. He apologizes once again, and heads on his way. Seika and Aoife get to their next class. Their professor tells them that the founding anniversary is coming up, so she needs the top 2 students, Amu and Aoife, to help out with a ritual. The professor explains that they need to take the new student roster to a temple in the forest and have it blessed. Seika thinks it could be dangerous, having fought the demon there. He asks what would happen if one of the students declined, and the professor tells him he would be next in line. Hearing this, he orders Aoife to give up her spot. The other students are shocked, but Seika says that such an important ritual shouldn't be carried out by a slave. After class, he apologizes to Aoife, and she realizes that he was trying to take the attention off of Amu, who people had started to resent after her performance against the demons. She wonders if Amu is his type, but Seika says he just wants to be her friend since she is the strongest. Aoife gets jealous hearing this, saying that she can also become strong. But Seika tells her to imagine being so strong that she is both praised and feared by everyone, saying that is what will happen to Amu. A few days later, Seika is handed the roster, and he heads off into the forest with Amu. Amu is suspicious of him, thinking he is trying to hit on her, even when he already has Aoife. Seika tells her it's all a misunderstanding, and he has nothing going on with Aoife. Amu's head suddenly hurts, and Seika notices a magic circle. They think it's strange, and it suddenly activates, transporting them into a dungeon. They are engaged by 3 lizard men, but Amu rushes at them, using her fireball, and taking them out in an instant. An ogre appears behind her, but Seika summons a wood pillar, and crushes its head. Amu finds his spell to be strange, but Seika plays it off as a spell he learned being a noble. They start exploring the dungeon, and Seika lights the way using his talismans. He leaves a trail, sticking talismans to the ceiling, and Yuki wonders what he is doing. He explains that he is leaving a trail so that his Shikigami on the surface can hopefully find him and help them get out of the dungeon. Yuki suddenly notices more monsters approaching. Amu charges at them once again, but as she fights, her head hurts, and she gets knocked out. Seika rushes to help her, using his wooden stakes to impale all the monsters, but there are just too many. Seeing that Amu is passed out, he summons a giant centipede, which is able to take out the rest of the monsters. When Amu wakes up, she is surprised all the monsters are dead. Her head hurts again, but feels better when Seika puts up a barrier. He tells her his barrier can block curses, and he wonders when she started getting the headaches. She says that it was ever since she enrolled at the academy, but doesn't think it's a curse because she hasn't noticed any marks. Seika says there are some places she can't see, which concerns her, but she ends up stripping down so he can check her body. They don't find any marks, but Seika says it could be hidden in other ways. Seeing as the barrier stops the effect, they can assume she is cursed. Amu wonders if she will have to stay in the barrier forever, but using a strand of her hair, Seika is able to create a substitute for her. The two get to know each other better, and Amu wonders about his relationship with Aoife, saying that she is in love with him. But Seika says they are just family, which Amu finds amusing, for a noble to call his slave his family. But Seika tells her how he was always treated like an outsider, and Aoife was the only one who treated him normally. Amu talks about her own family, but it seems to be a sensitive topic, so Seika asks her what she likes to do. She says that she likes to fight. She's loved fighting ever since she was young, but her parents found this weird, because most people would be scared of getting hurt or dying. She was even a part of a party that got wiped out, but she wanted more, and everyone thought there was something wrong with her. She came to the academy so that she could get stronger, hoping that if she became the strongest, fighting would get boring and she could be more normal. But after fighting with the demons, she had too much fun, so she thinks there is something wrong with her. But Seika tells her she isn't weird, and she thanks him for letting her vent. Seika finds the exit to the dungeon, and the two continue on through the dungeon. They come to the boss room and find a gigantic Naga monster. It spits acid out at Seika, but Amu distracts it with her wind lance, and Seika summons a metal spear to pin it down. Amu uses her fireball, causing a chain reaction and explosion. Amu takes the opening and stabs it in the head, finishing it off. After the battle, Amu hugs Seika. Overjoyed, they manage to take out a dungeon boss. They head to the treasure room, where they find a mithril sword, which Seika gives to Amu, and Seika gets a magical ring. The two finally manage to escape, and they report everything back to the professor. She didn't know there was a dungeon under the temple, and because the magic circle is gone, they aren't able to find the culprit. However, Seika pays a visit to Professor Cordell. After the demon attack and getting sent to the dungeon, Seika realized there must have been an inside man. The professor is surprised, thinking he had gotten rid of any evidence. Seika tells him to reveal his true form, but he is actually just a human working for the demons. Looking at his ritual, Seika calls him a genius. Cordell is proud of himself, revealing it's a curse that uses light magic to kill its target from a distance under the guise of an illness. He starts gloating about how he will kill Amu with it, but Seika points out how he is protecting her. The curse is targeting those who were covered in demon blood, because Amu had killed all the demons, but Seika summons the demon that he captured, and covers himself with its blood. He becomes a target of the curse, but using a counter-curse technique from his past life, he is able